Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Minute Strategies. This is a module based on workshops that I've given numerous times to teachers such as yourselves. Teachers who are always looking to beef up what they do in their classrooms, thinking about areas of their classrooms that they can stand some new ideas and some new tools to be able to reach most of their students most of the time, to engage their students in learning, to build their strategies in terms of communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. These 5 minute pieces should help you to add some new tools to your tool belt and to increase the engagement and motivation in your classroom. This first week, we're going to focus on classroom management and culture. What I'm going to do right now is share some tools and strategies that I found have worked in my own classroom and in classrooms with teachers that I've worked with as well. Here are two examples of ways, simple strategies that you can help to develop some management and some positive culture within your classroom. If you look at the image on the right, it says, when you enter this classroom, you are scientists, you are explorers, you are important, you are loved, you are respected, you are a friend, you are the reason we are here. Love, and then the teacher's name. The reason I like this piece so much is that it seemed like such a simple idea in order to engage the students before they even walk in the door. I often think about how I've watched endless movies about sports, being the mother of all boys, and oftentimes you see them before they go out onto the field or out onto the ice or whatever sport they're going to be playing, they smack something above above the arena, above the door to get them out into their playing field. And it's usually a sign or a quote or a badge or a something. Almost like every time before they walk out onto the field, they're hitting something to remind them of why they're there, what their role is, and what they're about to do. And I think that when we walk into classrooms, oftentimes you see students and teachers walking in with that same look on their faces, like, oh, here we go again, regardless of what's going to be waiting for them once they get inside the classroom door. So I really like this idea because it reminded me of, before you walk in, even if the students don't take the time to read it every day, it's a visual reminder of, once I walk through this threshold, there is something waiting for me on the other side. That I am going to be expected to behave in a certain way. My teacher is going to behave in a certain way. We are going to have fun and we are going to learn together. How important is that for your students to see and for you to see when you get in there before them? How important is it for you to get into the classroom with enough time to recognize that these are the pieces that your students are going to be expecting from you for the rest of the day? The piece on the left allows kids to really be able to focus on each other. I've often seen mitzvah trees or mitzvah coupons or things like that in nature. But this one really stood out for me because it's student shout outs for each other and for the teacher as well. And modeling what that looks like in your classroom. Not only recognizing, and we'll look at a slide about this as well in a little while, recognizing students for what they do, not just saying good job or you did a mitzvah or you did a good deed, but really outlining what it is that they did so they know they can do it again. Oftentimes I used to find myself always itemizing what the kids did that wasn't right? They didn't line up properly. They weren't quiet enough in the hallway. A lot of no's, a lot of you weren't, and not enough you are. And so if I can justify what they do, if I can repeat what they're doing so that the rest of the class sees these are the expectations. I like the way you lined up in line. I like the way you put your name on your paper. I like the way you worked through the problem even though it was challenging. All of these, what we know from growth mindset, to be ways to set the stage for learning in your classroom. Another way to think about your day as you're beginning each day, after you've crossed over the threshold into the classroom, you know what's going to be expected. Kids are going to walk in, they're going to want to get busy right away, and you're going to want to tackle that desire to learn right away. Having a to-do on the table, and there's actually a video for you to watch of a to-do as well in this week's section, in the research section. Here are some other ideas for you. Picking 2 or 3 of any of these that would apply to what you're teaching and having them do it as a to-do. It focuses them and it focuses you. It's almost like a reverse exit ticket, right? When your kids first come in, create a storybook, comic strip based on your learning. Just a minute, talk about what you have learned for just 1 minute. Going to line 3, summarize your learning in 5 sentences on a mini whiteboard. Using Post-it notes, create dominoes of your learning. Link today's learning to 3 other subjects. Create a mind map to review your learning, or to review your learning from the day before, so you know the kids are now in the right mindset. Okay, so now I know where I was yesterday, and you might need to give them a few prompts for that. In fact, I've even seen teachers do sentence starters for the kids. The main characters in the story were, the villain in the story is the patterns that we learned about yesterday were the Gemara that we learned yesterday helped me to better understand X. Any of these ways to help get the kids focused, to let their mind sort of come to the fact of where they are and where they're going to need to go during that day. So I hope you'll think about using the to-do as you see it on the screen in front of you right now, and as you'll see it in a video from the teaching channel within this week's course materials. Two other ways to think about your classroom management and building your classroom culture. The one on the left, of course, is who you are, who your students are. And I am a huge proponent of knowing who your students are. If you've taken the differentiated instruction course with me, then you'll know that I am a huge proponent in learning who your students are. You can't move them forward unless you know who you are. And until you take the time to get to know who they are, you're not going to develop that relationship with your students. With that crucial relationship, they have nothing vested in it. If you don't believe in them and you don't express your desire to teach them and why you teach them and who they are that you're teaching and learn the best ways they like to learn, you're teaching to yourself, and that's not a very fun thing to do every single day. So finding out who they are in this simple kind of way, almost like filling out a Facebook page for yourself or any kind of this is who I am type of deal. And in my opinion, it is never too late to do this. In fact, I visited a school in Ottawa in which the math teacher, I think it was a third or fourth grade math teacher, who was teaching the kids, reviewing their systems of multiplication, subtraction, and addition, had the kids create algorithms to match who they were. So, their birthday was in June, so they said my birthday is in the month that is 2 times 3. I have X number of siblings, 2 brothers plus 1 sister, something like that. So ideas, the kids had to try to decipher who the mystery writer of these algorithms was based on what they knew about each other and based on what they learned from each other on the paper. The one on the right comes straight from Carol Dweck, the idea that when we give feedback, we need to make sure we're doing it in a meaningful way so that we're increasing the kids' engagement by directly giving them feedback. In fact, I recently read somewhere where it said we shouldn't call it feedback, rather we should call it feed forward, because we're giving the kids these ideas to help them to move forward. So instead of saying good job, you could say, I could really see the effort in your revision. Why? Because praising effort and process encourages writers to keep going. You're a good writer. Okay, that's so vanilla. Let's try to spice it up to encourage our students to keep growing, to keep pushing. Thinking about the way you speak to your students, that the feedback is directly related to the action that you see and to the evidence that you see in front of you, will help you to connect with your students in a more meaningful way so they know that you are actually paying attention to each piece of what they're doing. If you've not been associated with Responsive Classroom or haven't looked up any of their materials, I strongly suggest you do so. I pulled this actually off of the Pinterest board for Responsive Classroom and all about building a classroom community and what that is. Responsive Classroom is in the business of developing good, positive classroom culture, having kids be responsible and accountable for what they do, creating those relationships between the teacher and the student, creating those procedures for each of the pieces that make up their classroom so that that feeling of respect and learning can permeate throughout the day. This might have been something the teacher did closer to the beginning of the year, but there is no reason not to do it now. As a classroom community, we need to talk to each other, say have a good day, share with each other. You can share books, crayons. In this case, I guess you can share a snack. Our school is not typically. You can help each other. You can help with classwork, picking up things or reaching things up high. And as a community, they've defined themselves as a group of people living together or sharing the same space. We are a classroom community. And I often feel that it's at this time of the year when you need to revisit those rules you might have established at the beginning of the school year to ensure that they still have meaning. Perhaps they've outgrown those rules. Maybe they need to be redefined. Maybe they need to think about actions and activities they've seen in the classroom. Maybe some rules can be taken down. Maybe new ones need to be put up. But you constantly need to be checking the temperature of your classroom and the culture that you're setting. So this week you're going to watch and read about classroom management and classroom culture. For your assignment this week, I want you to try one of the tools that you'll read about or watch in the research section. For your discussion piece, which is to me one of the more crucial pieces, there's Angela Myers is all about who people are, who we are, and really taking the time to get to know our students and each other. And one way, and her idea that everybody matters is the crux of what she believes in. So I've included in the discuss section a link to one of her blogs in which she shares 2 letters that she's written to students or has seen written to students over the years. And I want you to write a letter to your students and share in the discuss board. And of course, if over the course of the next week you have one more idea you'd like to share, go ahead and share that as well on the discussion board along with your letter. That would be really great for me to see. I always love to learn some new ideas. So I thank you for taking the course. I hope you find some new ideas and resources to take you through this last quarter of the school year and help you to start thinking about the beginning of next. Never hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here for you. Have a great week.